Well, welcome back. This is Mark again with Isaiah Industries. And in this segment, we want to look at a situation that you might often run into on a typical home installation. In this scenario, we have a bump out that is going to cause a staggered start situation in which the shingles coming across are not going to line up with the shingles coming up from this lower eave. As I put a couple of shingles in place here, there is about 1.5 inches difference that is going to have to be made up. What we don't want to do is have a short course somewhere in the middle of the field. There are two methods by which we can make up this 1.5 inches. Both of them involve making up the difference at the eave. The first method of doing this involves an anchor strip. Actually, both involve an anchor strip, but this particular method, we're going to put a piece of coil stock at the eave. And you can see from this that I have about a 1-inch underturn hem. I cut back about 4 inches on both sides in order to allow for my water return channel. And I want to make sure that the flashing comes 3 or 4 inches up past that anchor strip. So I've got about an 8-inch wide piece of coil stock here, which is a convenient width to cut out of a 24-inch wide coil. You can see that fits snugly over the starter strip and again allows for drainage out of the water return channel. Now I'm going to measure that 1.5 inches that I need to make up. I'll put a mark out there and a mark on the other side. I've cut a piece of anchor strip just wide enough to go between the water return channels on each side. Now I'm in the position of being able to go ahead and start shingling up from this bump out section. Just for purposes of illustration at this point, I will not do the stagger pattern or cover this completely. Okay, now I've got these two in place. I'm going to put this next shingle, I'm going to slide it in. It's going to come in and it's going to lock, fit over the starter strip. I've left myself enough room here so that I can work this and bring it in from the side. And as you can see, this makes for a nice clean look. This amount of coil stock down here looks pretty natural, and this may be the application or the method that you want to use. If you have less, maybe a half a shingle or less of distance to make up at the bottom. But what would happen if we had to cover a greater distance, say maybe 6 or 7 inches? In that case, what we might want to do is to use one of these shingles at the eave and put the anchor strip over the shingle. I have here a shingle, and actually I've put a second piece of shingle. I've mated that with the full shingle in order to span the entire distance. The reason I put it together beforehand is that if I put the shingle in place and then try to put this shingle to attach the shingle. It's going to be hard to work that in and slide it in from underneath the gable edge trim. So I've put the two together. I've cut out my drain slots on either side, and now I'm ready and able to slide this up from the bottom. And secure it in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and make my marks for the placement of the anchor strip. And recall that we have 1.5 inches to make up, but the butt of the shingle is going to come maybe another 1/8 of an inch past the drip edge. So I'm going to add about 1/8 of an inch to my mark. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the anchor strip. And again, with only needing to make up about 1.5 inches, I would probably not use this method in this particular scenario. But again, if I had 6 or 7 inches to make up, this may be the preferred method. Again, for demonstration purposes, I'm not worrying about the stagger here. I'm simply putting the shingles into position. And now, if I've measured well, I should be in position to put the shingle in position and continue on my coursing